Two, one. Welcome to Mediocre Rumble Brothers. I'm Jordan, your host, and the team Corey, Edwin, and Udon. Today we'll be discussing anime games and anime perspectives. But before we do, let's go around and discuss what we did this week. Corey, how about yourself?
All right. So what did I do this week? I rendered a bunch of videos, cleaned an Atari. So I restored an old Atari, which was kind of fun. Now I got to figure out how the hell I'm going to hook it up. I think I can plug it into a TV that I have that's like sitting on the floor doing nothing. Just because it has a coax cable, but to be determined, I guess. And then this weekend was my wife's birthday, so we all went to an arcade and played some arcade games, and Edwin joined, so that would be... we could kind of talk about playing arcade games here in a minute, but it was pretty fun. Edwin?
So we played like a bunch of arcade games, and then we both spent an enormous amount of chips on trying to get like specific stuffed animals from a claw machine. I was specifically trying to get like a Pickle Rick plushie.
Oh, Christ.
And then well, I mean, it was like the only one in that machine. It was like, I want it. That's like something I actually know, because the rest were just like generic plush toys. And then Corey got like a dolphin and then like 2 narwhals. Yeah. And then we played like a bunch of like ticket games and stuff, and like an axe throwing one, which was kind of weird. But and besides that, I've been playing. I started and got through a little bit of Kingdom Come Deliverance. This is like the 3rd time I'm trying to finish the game. This time I actually got further, and I forgot how terrible the combat is. But it's really hard to know if I'm like actually doing it correctly, because the way the game's leveling function, where like if you're low level in combat and like a specific type of weapon, no matter how good you are, your character will actually purposely be terrible because of the lack of experience he has in his stats. So it's like kind of hard to tell if you're doing well or if like you're doing correctly at all. So it's just incredibly annoying.
As long as you're doing your best.
Yeah. I mean, I somehow beat, like, I guess what is considered the first boss in the main story, but it's just like I don't even know how. It's like he did so much damage. The first time I fought him, he hit me like 3 times, and I just died immediately. Well, like the second time, I don't know. I guess I'm doing better.
The best advice for that game is to go find all of the buried treasure, so that you just have a shitload of money. And then,
I mean, I did that twice, because while I was doing it the first time, I got killed, and then, like in the dead of night, I was running to the forest trying to get back to Rattay, and then I got jumped in the middle of a dark forest, and then my horse ran away, and then I got beaten down, and then that undid like 2 hours of stuff. So I got
mugged in the forest by Robin Hood and his merry men.
Yeah.
On a Wednesday night.
And then you sit back and you're like, man, I love this game.
I got really pissed.
Well, do all the Miller quests too, because the Millers are basically like the best way, because that's the only way you can sell stolen goods, I think.
Oh, it's like I just been selling it to like the same guy who's like the first Miller that's been helping you. Now he's like 25,000 coins richer, because I've been selling everything to him.
Yeah.
But besides that, I've been playing Pokemon Black 2 again. For
hell yeah.
Yeah, for Udon's because like Udon told me to like play it again, and I'm gonna say it's worse than I remember. I was like, I'm pretty sure like half the stuff I complained about before the first time we talked about it, it's like issues specifically with the original Black and White, because like lack of mixture in like Pokemon. So it's like I'm pretty sure that was the game that I was like pretty much fighting the same Pokemon over and over again, which is why I hated it. But because this one is like
you also hate fucking red. You hate Fire Red and Leaf Green?
No.
Okay, so it's the same fucking problem that Black and White has.
Well, Fire Red and Leaf Green only has in like the first part of the story 151. This one has like 700. it's like there's no lack in Pokemon that you can mix up. But like the other,
that's okay. So 700 Pokemon aren't available, so you can't like just declare that. Yes, I understand. You also can't like catch every single Pokemon in the current modern day either, because that would like create a balancing nightmare. Fucking like what I'm saying is that Black and White was a weird like soft reset, and they added the most new Pokemon in Black and White so much that they were able to just exclusively use new Pokemon in Black and White. And then in Black and White 2, you had everything plus more, which is basically just a reiteration of Gold and Silver. So I genuinely have no idea what you're talking about when you say there's no variety. There's probably no variety because you don't like some of the Pokemon, you just don't want to use them. But other than that, what you're saying is just like factually untrue.
No, the variety in Pokemon battles, not like Pokemon in general. It's just the wild Pokemon is fine. I don't have a problem with it. It's just the trainer fights is like almost all the same in like the original Black and White, because it's just like that stupid Watchog and then the Purloin line is like.
I mean, like, yes, Team Plasma uses them a lot, but Team Rocket uses fucking Raticates and Golbats all the time.
I mean, again, it's still 150. Well, not even 151, just 150. So it's like the lacking Pokemon variety by trainer is like the issue that I'm talking about. Because this one has like 3 times more, and it's still like lacking in that variety. I'm talking about Black and White, not Black and White 2. Black and White 2 is better. However, that's not
what I'm trying to point out is that Fire Red and Leaf Green have the same exact issue, but you don't hold it against them
because they only have one. They only have 150.
And yes, okay. So you're complaining about something that's just like not in the game. This is what they have for you. Like they have the 150 of the new Black and White Pokemon. That's like what you're working with now. Like, and so I don't understand. I don't get you. Like no Pokemon game like past like maybe Gold and Silver has ever had every single Pokemon available in it like the entire way through from all the previous generations ever.
Whatever. We're not going to keep talking about Pokemon on here.
That's fine.
The other issue is just like the constant like forcing me to do the shit that I don't want to do. I don't care about your fucking movie filming. I don't care about your goddamn whatever like connection avenue to like the internet that doesn't even work anymore. And also like the friggin' Pokemon tournament and fashion shit. I don't care about any of that shit, but you can't continue the story until you at least do it once. It's goddamn wasting my time. Especially when they like ask you like, "Hey, you want to help me film a movie?" No, but you got to help me film a movie. No, but you got to help me film a movie. It was like, I don't give a shit. Why do you even bother asking if you're just gonna force me to do it anyway? And it was like, you get an Eevee. You have the ability to catch an Eevee before the 3rd gym, and then it's like this wasn't an issue in Black and White because they had apparently the storyline is like different. So it's like. You progress through the region differently between Black and White and Black and White 2. In Black and White, you can get an Eevee and also evolve it to Leafeon and Glaceon earlier in the game, but in Black and White 2, you can only evolve it into those 2 post-game. And it's making me more angry because I hate restrictions in Pokemon, which is like one of the main issues that I had with Soul Silver, because like half the Pokemon I wanted to use were only after I like beat the game and did all this shit and talked to Oak, like in the very end. And also, it's just like you get an Eevee, but like the 2 newest versions you can't get until you've beaten the entire game. But all the other ones are perfectly available normally, as like it's the same way as like any other game. And I don't know when they made the switch to where they completely like threw away the fact that you have to evolve it with like the ice rock in a region or the moss rock in another. It was like you already have the goddamn leaf stone. Just do it that way. I don't know when the ice stone was made, but that's like only useful for like 2 Pokemon. But it's just like the restrictions in Pokemon, like for that kind of shit, really pisses me off. But besides that, it's just like. Those are like pretty much the only 2 games that I play. It's just Black and White 2 and Kingdom Come Deliverance. I'm like trying to figure out how I'm gonna try and beat that game before Elden Ring comes out, and like also try and mix in the monthly games that we have to play because it's going to take a lot of time, but that is a future issue. But that's my complaints and my games. So it's Udon.
Yeah, I'll go. I mean, I don't care if you don't like black and white, but don't sit here and say it's like I don't want to hear about this crap about it being like badly designed when it's just something that you like because you can't get Scizor. Like therefore bad game. It's the same complaint I hear about people about fucking Sword and Shield. It's like I can't have Bayleaf. This game's bad. It's like shut the fuck up. Use a different Pokemon.
That's a completely different issue.
It's the same issue, but whatever.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. How is it not the same issue? Yeah, that's what I thought. Anyways, well, I finally fucking beat Cyberpunk, and I think it's probably one of my more favorite like modern day games. I really did like the endings, and spoiler. I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and just bitch about the spoiler talk a little bit. Edwin, didn't you say you beat Cyberpunk recently too?
Yeah.
You were not fucking around when you said that fucking main quest takes like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like I had finished doing all the side content and I was like, all right, time to do the main quest. And it was like over in like 2 hours. I was like, what the fuck? There's like like the fucking main quest is there's like nothing.
Yeah, it's definitely the side quests that sell it, but it's like it makes a little bit of sense because like the endings are tied to the side quests depending on which ones you actually finish. So
yeah, so like what ending did you do?
I did the Pan Am one. That was like the best ending, but it's still like uncertain of like what your future is because it was like after I beat it, I was like I looked up all the endings. Like all these endings kind of seal your fate very similarly. Like two of them are like considered the best ending, but both of them are like actually pretty tragic. And then like if you don't do the DLC ending and like the way they want you to, like the DLC ending that you can get is completely locked out because you took favor in Songbird Songbird instead of Reed. So like that, I thought that was pretty stupid. But like that ending for like the main ending also sucks entirely. I feel like it is kind of the worst one. Even though like
then which one did you like? You took the Pan Am route as like the finale, but like what did you do? Did you go back to your body or did you let Johnny go back to your body?
No, I went back to my body because the issue is like almost all the endings result in you only being able to live for 6 more months. Come or go, like, more or less. But it's still like the same, regardless of like the hardest ending to get is like the suicide run. But like the problem with that is it's still pretty much like the base ending, but it's just like if you die in that suicide run even once, then everyone pretends like you committed suicide like purposely, and then you get during the credits everyone is just mourning you and like talking shit about you. It's like we could have helped you, but you just didn't call any of them.
Yeah, because like I kind of like the melancholic endings, and like I said, I want to get in a bit spoiler talkish here, but like it's like I think it's like on point for like the themes of Cyberpunk and like how Night City just like takes everyone in and grinds them up like there was not going to be a happy ending to this story. And I actually read the book before I finished the game, which the book also ends pretty tragically, so it's kind of like on point with like even V says it like, and it's like I thought there was just going to be a happier ending for everybody, and because like you spend this entire time like you're dying from this like USB chip that's in your head that Johnny's taking you over, and like the entire game is the whole point is you're trying to figure out a way to save yourself and kind of sort of save Johnny as well, because it's either like you or him sort of thing. And at the end of the game, you kind of realize you're fucked either way, because the like super AI that you get to help you does separate you. They're like, well, your body's so far gone that Johnny can take over the body and be fine, or if I send you back to your body, like you'll only have like 6 months to live essentially. Like there's nothing you can do, or you can become like an AI and become like one with like this giant conglomeration of AI within like the internet. And the Phantom Liberty ending was something wholly different. Like I saw like both sides of it, and while I kind of agree that if you go with Songbird, locking you out of the ending's kind of a little weird, but I kind of like that in a way because it actually made your choice matter. It's like one way you get another ending to where you basically get Johnny out of your head via surgery, but then your body can't handle Chrome anymore, and you're in a coma for 3 years, which is also a melancholic ending. And because I did the same thing, I had Pan Am, the Aldecaldos Nomad like finale ending, and then at the very end, I was like, "Fuck it, I'll have my guy just live out his last 6 months of life instead of just being assimilated into the internet." Because I don't think that's much of a better fate. I think eternal life as part of the internet sounds like hell. Yeah. So I don't know. I kind of liked it. It was just like I did like the fact that it was melancholic ending. It wasn't like it was like unapologetic about it, and I do want to see how the other endings change, quote unquote. And I don't like how short the main story was. Like I played the game a long time because I did all the side quests, got max level, max street cred, all this other crap. The writing is all right. I think the writing in Phantom Liberty was way better because like the people who are talking to you are all like, they did a really good job making like the people talking to you like manipulate you essentially. They're all manipulators, all trying to get something out of you, but they don't make it like overly obvious. So the way they write their dialogue was really good.
Yeah, that whole game is just everyone manipulating your character.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, again, that's like part of the theme, right? It's like no one's a good person in Night City sucks ass. Like they really want to just like drive that point home. It's like this is not a city of dreams; it's a city of nightmares, more or less. And but yeah, I would play it again. I mean, the gameplay itself, when we're just talking like combat and driving and stuff, I think is all like A+. I love just running around punching dudes and doing all the like even the shooting. Even though I only did a little bit of it, felt really good. And I played through the game again, but it was nice playing a more modern game that was like really like actually fun. Yeah. Of course I didn't like no go ahead.
No, it's like the whole game was fun. The main issue is that I had is just the stealth is kind of finicky because it's just like it's very easy for enemies to spot you, even though it's just like near impossible at some moments. It's like how in the hell did you spot me? Right. But it's like after playing Kingdom Come Deliverance, it was like, oh well, Cyberpunk was at least better than this shit.
Well, Kingdom Come's supposed to be like super unforgiving and hard, though, right?
Yeah, but it's supposed to be like it's like if you were actually here, this is how terribly you would actually suck at it until you actually practice doing it. But like my stealth is like my second highest stat, but it's just like this stuff still sucks ass.
But yeah, Cyberpunk. I give it like a thumbs up and a half out of whatever my metric is that I'm using. It's pretty good. And then after that, I had some more time during the week, but since I don't have a lot of time during the week, I couldn't like jump into Ghost of Tsushima or Witcher. So I was looking through my Switch to see if I can delete some stuff to free up some hard drive space. And I was looking at Pokemon Scarlet, and I'm like, it's taken up a lot of space, but I haven't finished the second DLC yet. So I decided to jump into the DLC of that. And completed the Pokedex as far as I could, and then I was kind of stopped because you have to get certain items from progressing the DLC. And I was like, all right, cool. So I do that, and like the long story short is that there's like a classroom Elite Four of the transfer school you're in that you have to beat, and their champion. And of course, I'm just like, all right, this is gonna be piss easy. And I go to fight one of them who's like a fire type leader. I was like, cool, Garchomp. And the other thing is that like the gimmick is that every battle's a double battle in the DLC. And I was like, all right, cool, go Garchomp and Gyarados, and just going to spam Earthquake and win. But the first two Pokemon he sends out was Talonflame and Rotom Heat Form, and I was like, oh shit, they're both immune to Earthquake. And Thunderbolts Gyarados out of the sky. I was like, oh, yeah, he even has type coverage. And as the battle went on, to make a long story short, so I'm not just speaking tongues to everyone, but Edwin, it's actually hard. Like the Elite Four, like the Elite Four fights in the Blueberry Academy DLC for Scarlet and Violet does not fuck around. Like all their Pokemon are really high level. They use double battles like MLG strategies. They all have held items. They all have really good stats. Like I lost to the Fairy type gym leader or Elite Four member. Granted, I would have won had my Vaporeon not missed 3 Hydro Pumps in a row and her Slowbro's stupid Quick Draw didn't activate 3 times in a row, but it still would have been very close. And I won on the salty run back anyways, but I was happy because I was just like, oh my god, this is actually challenging. Like, this is actually hard. I knew you guys had it in you, but I just wanted to give Scarlet and Violet a quick bit of praise, being like, you're not all bad. This doesn't forgive the base game and the first DLC, but I can at least say the Blueberry Academy DLC is all right. It's still not fabulous, but it's all right. At least the fights are actually fun and hard, and it's actually making me go back and rethink how to do double battles and shit. So if you haven't tried that yet, Edwin, I would recommend it. It's at least challenging.
Yeah, it's like I got a little curious because everyone said that it's like, oh, like Gita, the worst like champion you could fight in the entire series of Pokemon, like actually got a revamp and is actually difficult. I got curious like when you said there's an Elite Four for the Blue Berries, like are they all like as difficult as Cynthia, or like all made like as difficult competitively like her?
Yeah,
Like
I
she
would say
was?
so because like how she was competitively difficult in Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl. Because not only, guys, remember what I just said, all the battles are double battles, so it's even harder, and you have double battle strategies to have to take into account. And yeah, they're just as hard, if not harder, than Cynthia is. Like it's actually difficult.
Cool.
If you go, you can't brute force it.
Yeah, I was like, I'm pretty sure my team is not capable of doing a competitive double battle like that. So I definitely have to grind and rethink my entire team again.
Yeah, but if you ever wanted to go back and play it, I'd recommend at least that DLC. And like I said, as much as I still don't like Scarlet and Violet on the whole, I'll praise it for that. At least the Blueberry DLC is okay. The fights are at least worth my time.
Like, I'll consider like a piss easy like base game, but if the DLCs are like actually difficult and challenging, then it's like actually kind of makes sense because if you're still trying to target kids, you might as well just like have at least a base game easy enough for them to beat, and then the DLC, which would cost extra money for like anyone who wants to consider playing more Pokemon, or if you did beat the base game, then you would have like actual knowledge of how like Pokemon works, so you'd be knowledgeable enough to take on more challenging battles and DLCs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not like, well, because my whole problem was that first DLC, technically speaking, you'd be doing it like at that point, all your Pokemon would be level 100 already because the base game's been out for so long. And that first DLC comes out in the first battle. She's like, "Go, Poochyena," and I'm like, "Oh Lord!" I'm like, this is like, you don't even have to try. But then it's like, "Oh no, we're not fucking around anymore. Like, we're actually going to make you try this time." I was like, "Okay." Like I said, applause. I give you credit for this. The battles are actually really good. I like this a lot.
My level 55 Poochyena was like, lady, that thing could evolve like 25 levels ago.
Yeah, and I'm just like, go Garchomp, squish the tiny puppy. But yeah, that's I gamed a lot, and like I said, I really like Cyberpunk despite its shortcomings. I think the only thing I didn't like about Cyberpunk, going back to it, if you remember at the end of the DLC, Edwin, when Songbird is like, she's like basically well, depending on what you did, I guess. But if I escorted her, I was like going with Songbird the entire time, and at the very end of it, she's like, "By the way, that cure I was telling you about, it's only for me. You don't get any." I'm just like, why would you say that? Why would you say that right now while you're dying in front of me? Like, you're lucky the game doesn't let me punch you. I would have already. Like, I'm just like, why would you say that while you're dying in front of me? Like, it would be even more of a gut punch if you told me that, like, after I put you on the shuttle and you're already on the moon. And then you're like, okay, by the way, lol, bye. It's like, what the fuck?
Hang on, you reminded me of something about that, because she tells you that, like, 10 minutes, not even 10, like 5 minutes before, like, the end of the DLC. Mm-hmm. However, that 5 minutes took me, like, almost an hour. Why? Because I died to read twice. But do you know what happens if you die to read?
What?
That the terminal that you have to pass through to put her on the spaceship where he confronts you, if you die, then the terminal locks you out when you load your save again. And the only way you can open it is if you load one save before that. So I had to run that goddamn train to the terminal like 2 to 3 times because of that.
Yeah, so that was a really bad part because it's like scripted. If you don't do what you're supposed to do, Reed just instant kills you. So it's just like, I didn't even know that was going to happen, game. Thank you for just instant killing me for no reason.
Yeah, it's just like, he's not gonna kill me. It was like, you get 3 chances to like surrender to him, but it's just like, I was like, he's not gonna kill me. He's Reed, and he just instant kills me in the head. It was like, okay. Well,
never mind. Yeah, he's Reedy, and he apparently has really good aim. But yeah, I know that was a long tirade, but I wanted to talk about those things a little bit. And technically speaking, Cyberpunk has an anime, and Pokemon's an anime. So technically speaking, I'm on topic. So I don't want to hear it. Jordan, what'd you do?
Yeah, I have not played much. I guess to stay on the anime category that we're going with, I did play the Digimon Battle Arena 2. That's a pretty good game. It was on GameCube. I was playing that for a little bit. Got to see my good old-fashioned Digimon, and got to beat people up like it was if you were playing a sort of Super Smash Brothers kind of thing. It was kind of funny to see how they actually had a game like that. I didn't know really there was any such game like that. But played for that a little bit. Got to show the Digivolve going through. It was funny. Got to throw people into lava pits and stuff. Got to hear a very annoying ass Digimon like "come get me" kind of thing. It was stupid, but it was funny too. I was actually pretty happy to be playing it. Other than that, I was playing the monthly game. Again, that'll be something we'll discuss later on. Just moving on along with that one. Well, that's all I have. Then we'll get to it. Okay, well, let's get on to the trivia then.
You mean the polls?
The polls, sorry. Sorry, the polls. What is your anime game genre? We had fighting game, visual novel, RPG game, Dynasty Warrior clone, or gacha game. Winner was RPG. What do y'all think?
Yep.
Not my personal favorite, but I mean, it applies to like what I was thinking about when we decided to do this episode. Because I was like, what is an anime game? It's like, because anime is just, anime is an art style. It's just the word the Japanese use for cartoon. So it's just like, what does this apply to? It's like from everything from Final Fantasy to Persona to Fate to anything that just has an anime art style is technically an anime game. And what Corey was saying is that he pictures anime games. Sorry, I don't mean to speak for you, but you were talking about more like the Naruto's and the fucking Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen, like everything, Dragon Ball, and everything's a fucking fighting game.
Yeah.
Popular anime that becomes a game, things that people are watching, like, basically everything that was on Toonami became a game for the most part.
Well, hell, I was at the retro game store this week. I guess that was another thing I did, but I'm not going to go back to that. But I saw like 2 different Zatch Bell games for the GameCube that I forgot existed.
Oh, Corey saw the same thing.
Yeah, I saw the Japanese ones.
I think
because we also were at a retro game store that we didn't mention.
But I mean, I picture anime games as just like, the art style itself, because it's just like, I think that, at least for me, that alone is sometimes enough for me to be interested in a game, despite its like secondary genre. Basically, it's just like, just because I like anime as an art style, it just looks nice. I enjoy the vibrant colors. Typically, I like. Everyone likes attractive women, and it's hard to find that in a Western game nowadays.
Yep.
But and at least, like I said, it's just like, I don't know. I just feel like anime games, again, it's just like, I don't want to like. It sounds mean, but it's just like, I just feel like the Japanese sometimes just put more effort into their games sometimes. So it's like, anime, I bet this is higher quality sort of thing. I have no idea what this is. Again, walking around the retro game store, I'm looking at like these PS3 games. I'm like, that has an anime art style. I have no idea what it is, but I bet it's at least somewhat of quality. Like, I can somewhat trust it,
Yeah, the aesthetic usually gets me to pick up the games, but that also comes from, like, when I was younger, I would play JRPGs, and most of those games used anime art style for their character designs. So, like, even if they weren't based directly on the cartoons that I was watching as a kid, it was familiar, so I'd be like, oh, what's that? And it would definitely get me to pick it up, so, that worked for me.
And again, it's like, oh, go ahead.
No, it's just like obviously the Japanese anime games. There's like, besides like the fighting ones, where it's like more or less the same, maybe except for like Dragon Ball Z, which is like usually always trying to up itself, and like from the last game, trying to add something new. Most of like the first time like anime games are like very much the same, considering a lot of them are made by Bandai. So it's just like a lot of those are the same, but it's just like it's like what you said about the Japanese putting more effort in like their anime games compared to like the Western. As it's probably because they're not on a constant mission for the modern audience. They always just make a game because it's like a lot of passion from like the fans, like they want a good game, or like they want
Yeah.
like a lot of effort put in the story. So it's just like,
yeah, they're making a game targeted towards the fan base of that thing. They're not making a game that also will pull others into the fan base. It just kind of coincidentally pulls people into the fan base if it's a good game.
yeah, it's like I never played a Dragon Quest game, but it's like playing Dragon Quest 11, like that pulled me in almost instantly because of how well it was done.
And
not to mention that style does kind of age very well. Like most cel-shaded games age very well. Like even if you're playing like a PS1 game, the graphics are going to be dated. Like if you're playing Mega Man Legends or something like that, but the style of it actually feels pretty good even when you go back and see it. I mean, we're also seeing that style being imitated by indie developers now too. So it does
even
have like
non-Japanese developers are using the anime art style to their advantage. Essentially, you don't have to be from Japan to use the anime art style.
Well, it's funny because like realism, like the bar gets set every single year, but like anime style, it kind of just like is the same all the time. I mean, there is like bigger like pushes when you look at Dragon Ball Fighter Z. Mostly it's the effects, like how close to the anime can they get to where it feels like you're just playing the show. I mean, Storm 4 is really good. And then when it comes to like visual like amazement, the Tales of games, they lean into it pretty hard, and that Tales of Arise game is really good looking. And so is Grand Blue Fantasy, that new RPG that they did. It's like an action RPG. That one looks really freaking cool too.
Yeah, well, it goes back to like it's not just like anime. It's just like non-realistic art styles just indefinitely age better because they're not trying to imitate life. So it's just like, oh, this just looks like what it looks like, sort of thing, you know? Yeah. Like
I was playing The Mummy on PS1 with Edwin on Friday, and they just pasted a really low-res picture of Brendan Fraser's face on the character. So it's really funny.
Yeah, but, shit like that is it's a big advantage to anime games. But like, and the thing is like typically those fighting games, again, we'll go back to like what Corey thinks of first, because I played a lot of the Naruto fighting games because that was like my OG anime I was a nerd of, was Naruto. And the thing is that those games aren't like that fantastic. Like they're decent enough, like for the fans especially, but like it's literally just like the same game over and over and over again. It's the same way that like every time, well, they're starting to break the mold just now, but it's just like where every iteration of a Dragon Ball game was just the Frieza through Cell arcs, the Frieza boost Cell arc. That's what you get to play, and then you just do that forever. Same way Naruto is like just replay the events of the anime forever.
Yeah, now
Boruto. And it's a fighting game.
I mean, I'll give it credit considering this. Like, it's like, yeah, it's the same fights over and over again, but it's like when the anime like goes through like new sagas and stuff, they add that to like the end. So it's just like if you only add like those new ones, then it might as well just be the same game but with DLC, and like no one will actually know what like the whole story is.
I was just gonna say that it's interesting that it's not DLC and that they're just like run it back.
Well, it's because it's just like every time they make a new one, it's like it's almost sometimes it's a new generation of like consoles, but also it's just like they can't upgrade the visual style, or it's like, oh boy, I guess we can recharge them for the swimsuit DLC, if we make them buy a whole new game.
Those always like the beach episode you have to pay for. Everything else is like included.
That was literally like most of the DLC was just costumes for like that Fairy Tail game. Like I was so hyped for it, but like the combat is just like, choose an attack and make sure which square that gets hit. But it's like, it was cool visually, but the combat was pretty fucking stupid.
I mean, it's so mid. I know what you're talking, because I played that Fairy Tail game too, and I will admittedly I bought some of the costume DLC because Urza, big waifu of mine, but I just couldn't get into the game because I'm just like, this is so like it's just so meh.
I bought it, and immediately the day after I look at Facebook and then see it's just like, like day 2 patch, it was like too many panties are showing when they do the moves, like trying to add the void into it. So it's just like got censored. It was like immediately.
And we're talking about those Bandai Namco like fighting games because it's like when I think of those, the only other one I played the first Demon Slayer one they had. Again, it was fine. It's exactly what you want. It's like just you're playing your Demon Slayer characters and they're fighting. And I think I said this on the podcast before, but I was the weird guy who went into GameStop the day Red Dead Redemption 2 came out, and I was like, yes, I would like my pre-order of the My Hero Academia fighting game, please, because it came out on the same day.
Oh, yeah.
Again, it's like
the My Hero Battle Royale game.
Oh yeah, that's a weird one that I always see. It's like on the top of Xbox's like played games charts a lot. And I tried it. I was like, this is fine. I guess I don't know. I don't like play multiplayer games a whole lot anymore. So
yeah, that Battle Royale was decent, but it's just like everyone moves so fucking fast that it's like really hard to like figure out like where's the hitbox on these characters. It's just like it was a cool concept, but it's like I don't even know how many people are even playing that right now.
I still think a decent amount of people. But then like I don't know what the issue was, but I heard this is just hearsay, mind you, but again, Bandai Namco came out with the Jujutsu Kaisen one recently, and of course it's a fighting game. But I heard that got excuse me, I just ate fucking burping. But I heard that it got panned. Like people hated it for some reason. I have no idea why. Does anyone know why?
I don't.
I think it was like the visuals and something about the controls. Like it didn't. Most anime fighting games in general are not complicated to play. A lot of the times it's just press square a lot until your triangle move is ready. I mean, that kind of goes with Dynasty Warriors as well. And then circle is like the dodge move, and it's like, oh look, I turned into a log. But
the Naruto fighting game is like you play until everyone runs out of substitutions, and then you actually fight. They're not exactly well balanced or designed. It's just like you want to see flashy Naruto moves. It's like you got what you came for. And then when you say Dynasty Warriors, that's probably like the second most emulated game, type for anime games because you have Dynasty Warriors. I know there's a Gundam Dynasty Warriors. There's a Fate Dynasty Warriors. There's that Berserk one that I saw you play, Corey. Then they have the Attack on Titan one is a Dynasty Warriors clone.
Yeah, I didn't know there was an Attack on Titan one.
That one's really fun. And while I don't necessarily care for the anime, holy fuck, that game is fun. I just love flying around killing the Titans. It's great.
Well, it's like I thought it was weird because like the Titans are like so fucking huge. But it's like I didn't know you can't have that many Titans on screen because it's just like they're way too big and like take up the entire background if they're like the same size. But it's like Corey told me it's like there's like the tiny ones, but like I guess they're like reduced in size just so they can have a bunch of them, and then like the special ones are all the tall ones. But like it's still like that's a lot of like flesh on like naked people on the screen all at once, especially in like the same amount in like Hyrule Warriors where it's just like bokoblins and red and blue everywhere. So it's like looking at the same thing. It's just Titans. Is like that's a lot of shit on screen.
Yeah, I mean the Dynasty Warriors one isn't nearly as busy as like a typical Dynasty Warriors is, but like it's still that same concept. It's like here's a bunch of like segments of the battlefield you have to like capture and control, and you have to defeat all the enemies inside of it in order to capture it. It's just basic stuff. I think probably the other thing that makes it fun is that it's also not just like press square a bunch until you press triangle. Like the Attack on Titan one actually has like some actual gameplay to it. Like you got to make sure to stay in the air and shit and do all these different combos and stuff. I liked it.
It was like I got confused because like there's so many Attack on Titan games. So it's like I don't know which one's which anymore because they're like all have like the same similar concept. But I have never seen the Battle Royale, not the Battle Royale, the Dynasty Warriors one of that. I've only seen like the fan made ones, like the one made in PlayStation Dream, and then I guess like the official one.
Yeah, if it's ever on sale, like $20, that'll give you some that's some content. I like it. Like I said, I don't even care for the actual anime all that much, but I like the game a lot.
I was like, I can't buy like another Dynasty Warriors game when I haven't even finished all that Hyrule Warriors has, because that shit has like way more content than I can handle.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like that game is a lot of fun. There's like every character is like very unique and has their own powers, but it's like a few of them suck. Like Girahim's like attacks are like very short range. It was like I'm supposed to shoot and destroy everything in like a 6 foot radius, but he only goes like, oh, it's like 2 feet in front of me. That's it.
Wait, Corey, you're trying to say something?
Oh yeah, no, I just looked up the Jujutsu Kaisen game. Apparently, the major gripes about the game seems to be the controls and balancing is like all over the place because it's not a familiar combat style for a fighting game based on an anime. So it's like it seems that there's it seems that they have like this auto combo system that's like kind of broken, and the characters are not balanced very well. And it seems to have the most refunds on Steam with 100,000 refunds in like 4 days or something like that.
Sheesh.
Yeah, so it was a doomed game pretty much once it dropped, and it doesn't have any competitive features, so there's no way it would ever enter like a fighting circuit. There is like I guess if you're like a diehard fan of Jujutsu Kaisen, you might like the game more, which a lot of the games are designed for diehard fans anyways. But like, you know, eventually one of them will come out of nowhere and surprise everybody with like really cool mechanics. But like, you know, Dragon Ball Fighter Z, that one kind of pushed Marvel vs. Capcom aside because everybody liked that game a lot and it was fast and had a really good combo system. But when you have that game sitting out there and then you go back to like the simplistic, the game plays itself as long as you press the button, you know, people are probably going to be pissy.
I mean, the Dragon Ball Fighter Z, it had the option to make it like press the same button to do a set combo, but you can also change it to where you can do the combos yourself by putting more complex inputs. So
Yeah,
it was a neat
that's
thing
just
to
for
do.
like the people who don't really play fighting games that like Dragon Ball Z and want to like do the story, essentially.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I like playing Marvel vs. Capcom and Street Fighter and stuff, so like I do like the combo input system. It just feels more fun, to me at least.
I mean, fucking. I guess the balancing must have been extra bad because, like, I don't know. I feel like every Naruto and the Demon Slayer game, like, they've all been really poorly balanced. But maybe they just fucked it up especially bad for the Kaisen one. I guess I don't know.
Were they all
It
made
said
by the same
something about
person?
sorcerers versus fighters is like fucking broken. Like the sorcerers, they can win a fight, but you have to try really hard to do so. I don't know what that means because I haven't watched the show.
It's like long range versus short range. It's just easier.
That is weird. I haven't heard the term fighters. Just like they're all sorcerers almost. I mean, there's like a few that aren't, I guess, but that's strange.
Probably like ranged combatants versus close quarters combatants.
I mean, fuck,
Yeah,
one
I don't think
character's
that
just
girl
like
can throw a punch.
it's like there's one chick that can just her special ability is that she shoots guns, like, but and then you have like, I mean, you have those games, you have the Dynasty Warriors, you have the fighting games, and then you have the ones that like, I mean, the ones that are like almost story based, because like I don't even know how I would describe the one that you showed me, Corey, on what was it, the Saturn of Berserk, like way long ago.
oh,
Remember that?
the Dreamcast Berserk game.
Because
Red
that's
Eagle.
like an action combat game, but also like, goddamn, those cutscenes were long as shit. Like they were really
the first
trying to get
cutscene's
story,
like 15 minutes long. I was like, can I fucking play now?
but like they were
but
taking it
it's
seriously. Yeah,
Yeah, it has like recognizable voice acting in it. The combat is, you know, dated, of course, but it's pretty good. I would put it in the same vein of like whatever you consider Devil May Cry in, I guess. I mean, it's not
Action.
like a stylish action game, but it is like it's literally just an action game. You know, here's the level you're in, run around, fight bad guys. Maybe there's a boss, hit story beats, and then keep it moving. But it's pretty good. I mean, I like that one. And then I have the Dynasty Warriors Berserk game too, which is pretty fun as well. Just it has like all the characters, and I think the setting of that one is specifically the golden. Or it's like the 3 movies, the prequel or whatever, up to the Dark Armor. It doesn't go beyond that though. I think it's just like the first like major battle after the events unfold from the eclipse that scars everybody's brain.
well, I mean, like, and it's kind of cool that some of them you can't get the story from because, ironically, I actually finished like experiencing the story of Naruto through the final Ninja Storm game. I didn't read it in the manga. I didn't watch the anime. I
That's
played the
best
fucking Ninja
way to
Storm
consume
game.
that.
Yeah,
It's the best way. It's super cool. It's involved. There's no filler episode because if I have to watch the stupid ass ostrich ninja thing again, I'm gonna be like, I can't do it.
Well, I told you the reason for that was that like because Naruto was so popular when the main series was done and they were like taking a break while they were working on Shippuden, they didn't want to like stop the anime. So everything between the last fight between Naruto and Sasuke and at like the waterfall and everything after that before Shippuden is just like all filler. It's all made up. That's not canon. It's just all bullshit they made up because they wanted more money.
Real quick, I have a fan in my background. Is that like getting picked up?
I
don't hear anything either.
Okay, cool. It's getting really hot in my office, so I'm like, I have to. It's like 90 degrees outside, so I mean,
yeah,
you know, but yeah, it's fucking hot.
Part of my favorite fighting type would probably be
Hitmonchan.
What? No, it's
you said your favorite fighting type.
my favorite fighting type in like an anime game is like obviously going to be like the Kingdom Hearts 2 because it's not overly complicated, unlike Kingdom Hearts 3, where it's just like you can literally do everything you ever could in a Kingdom Hearts game. So it's just like over the top. It's like I don't even remember how to do half the stuff in there. Like some of it is just like way too strong. It's like it trivializes the game. But like Kingdom Hearts 2 is like it has like new things you can do. You have like your summons, you have your drive, you have your basic attacks, you have your magic attacks, you have your limits and all that. So it's like it has like a lot of choices, but some of them are like special, so you can't do it all the time. But it's just like it's not overly complicated. It's a very free roam, and you can do a lot of combos your way by combining like your inputs the same way you would in Dynasty Warriors game. But so it's just like it's just overall fun to play. It's not like it's not simplistic or complex like you need to put like Mortal Kombat or like in a typical anime fighting game or anything like that. So it's just like it's easy for like anyone to do because it progresses and like the combinations that you can do as you go through the game, and you can even turn some of them off or shorten your combos just so you can do the heavy hitter at the end faster, which is useful in a lot of situations. So this is my favorite kind, but I've never played a game that had the similar type of combat that Kingdom Hearts had. So it's just like if there's anything like that, I would like to see it.
And that's what I was talking about, because not only I was like, what qualifies as an anime game? It's like Kingdom Hearts counts, Pokemon counts. These all count technically as long as they have the anime art style. Because more on like I guess unique fighting systems. Because we also have the standalone like anime games. Like what was it? I think it was called Scarlet Nexus or something like that. That's like a standalone.
That game is awesome.
The game is a good game. Yeah.
Yeah, I only
like Scarlet Nexus.
Yeah, I only tried it a little bit because it was on Game Pass for a little while. I just didn't have time to really like get into it. But it had like again, it's like an action combat system, but it's not like Devil May Cry. It just means it has like a different version of like combat where you like I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it really. But then there's stuff like what is it?
Astral Chain.
Astral Chain's another example. It's slightly more realistic, but it's like kind of like JoJo-ish art style, I suppose.
I didn't even think of it that way.
I thought of it only because like the concept. Well, it's like the concept of the powers is the same exact thing as a stand, so that's how I attribute it to JoJo games. I mean, hell, I was in the game store the other day, and my friend was looking at the Switch stuff in the retro store, and I was like, "Oh, you might like Astral Chain. It's like you like JoJo. Their powers are like stand things." So, what is on the tip of my tongue? Fucking what was the Souls-like one? What is like?
Is it Code Vein?
There we go. That's the one I was looking for. Yeah, Code Vein, because it's just like it's just. I mean, it's anime Dark Souls, but it still has like slightly different mechanics than Dark Souls does too, because it has. Like,
I think that game is set in like the God Eater universe or something.
I thought it was a standalone thing.
No, makes sense. Well, it's like a Dark Souls type, but it's just like everything derives from like what is it? It's not blood collection. It's
apparently
it is.
No, it is kind of blood because you're like vampires people.
Yeah, well, it's like it's some kind of energy. I don't remember that game. I didn't finish it because I kind of fell off because like, it was
Red Mist.
so convoluted.
I mean, I got lost in not Anne Orlando, so
Mhm.
I couldn't stand that map. You got lost in it so easily. I want to go back because I mean, like, I am more willing to go back and play Code Vein for the simple fact that it is an anime art style than I would going back to Dark Souls. And it's not even like bashing art like Dark Souls art style because that's one of the things I really like about Dark Souls is that all the crazy designs and how things look. I just really like anime stuff. I just really like how it looks.
I mean, I like the way it looked, but I think the issue was for me was the combat. It was a little
it was
a little
all
complicated and a little convoluted with all like the vein types.
Yeah, it was
So
it
it's
was a
just
little
like-
clunky. Yep, I agree.
It's like the constant. I found a farming method that helped me like get like level up a lot of my vein abilities, but it's just like there's way too much. You can only have a very few amount of them. It's just like some of them weren't even that great, but it's just like a lot. It's like a lot of specific things about it. It's like you kind of need this one because it's like the only way you can beat some enemies, and then it's just like the fighting was like. I don't know. It was like a lot of them were fast. Some of them were like a little bit unfair. Like for Dark Souls, it's like very simplistic. You don't have like all that shit. It's just like it's literally just you, and if you choose to do magic, otherwise it's even simpler. So, but Code Vein is just like you need to use all the mechanics at your disposal in order to beat like very specific enemies. Kind of like
Code Vein really leans on the companion mechanic that they have because there's like a whole subset of abilities that your companion can get, and there's like a few different ones because there's like it depends on your play style. They'll support your play, but you really have to play into that. Otherwise, like having your companion, if you're not going to play the way that companion's supposed to support you, then you're going to have a rough time.
Yeah. Now I can hear. By the way.
It's definitely not a game you can leave and then come back to it because otherwise you have to learn how everything works again. Otherwise, you might as well just not play it.
Yeah,
you're going to be screwed regardless.
I guess my point being is that like people like look at that and they'll just be like, it's anime Dark Souls because that's the biggest difference between it. I mean, the combat system itself is like pretty different from actual Dark Souls. I mean, hell, just the fact that you have a constant companion is a big difference. But what's another one? I'm trying to think. I feel like. I mean, pretty much any of the. What?
I was going to say, I would also consider that like an action RPG. I mean, given that the poll, like with RPG getting like the most popular, I feel like it's because it's kind of like the most immersive in that franchise rather than just like how the fighting games are. You're just kind of like playing it. So it's like as we kind of jump into like what these games are, it's like they have world building. That's pretty much if I had to guess, the reason why people would enjoy the RPG version of the anime games more is because of the world building, and it's not like because fighting games to me are like very surface level.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like
that's why
characters
it's like,
from the show.
I mean, yeah, that's why those games we're attributing them to those animes that are like I mean, essentially those games are literally just like movie games, quote unquote, that we're used to talking, that we would reference, but that's literally what that is. Because like I know Naruto, I just want to see Naruto and Kakashi fight, so I can do it in this game. I already know what the actual game is. I mean, we said earlier that like you can consume the story through that game, but at the same time, it's like it's not an RPG. You're just there for like the story. But then like you have the big ones, like obviously Final Fantasy counts again. Final Fantasy is a bit more on the realistic side, but I would still qualify that as like an anime art style. Yeah, and it's just like again, JRPGs just like take their time with what you said with world building, with character development. It's like you're in for a big time, and by the end of the game, you're going to be very invested in what's going on.
Yeah.
Sorry, my mic was off, so I almost spoke out without actually turning it back on. But like the worst anime game that I've ever played in my entire life was definitely the Sword Art Online, like Broken Link or some shit. It was like that game.
A shitty anime and a shitty game.
I mean, I played it at the time where like I did like Sword Online, but now I'm like I don't want to be involved with it anymore. I don't like it.
I don't want to be associated with you anymore.
Well, I mean, like the only good part of it is like the first season of the first part of the series. So it's just like after that, it's just like I don't even know what the hell you're doing.
Fell off after episode
I
3.
think the only
Yeah.
one I ever played of that was like a demo of the Fatal Bullet one. And I was like, this is really different from what I heard the show was.
Yeah, so was the anime. It's like that part of like the gun. It was like called Gun Gale Online, but it's just
Yeah.
like the trailer for the game looked cool, but it's just like I can't trust you to make a good game after the first one where you thought that shit was actually decent enough. Like the story and like the companionship stuff was okay, but it was definitely boring as hell because like it's just the same enemy. There's probably like in a lot of anime games, but it's like the same enemy just recolored, and then like, oh, it's just a little bit stronger. But it's just like it was very bare bones. The areas were very boring, and like it was like there weren't like any shortcuts or anything, just like teleportations. But it's just like everything was a constant maze. It was always the same type of mission when you go to like a new area. It's just like, oh, look at this landscape, it's brand new, and then like by the end of it, it was always the exact same fucking looking dungeon, and it's always a fucking maze. You always have to go and just walk around, find whoever has the key, go forward, fight the boss. Find the key, go forward, find the boss. It was always just the same shit.
Yeah, you talking about Sword Art Online or Zelda?
That's no Sword Art Online. Zelda was like more creative with its dungeon, but Sword Art Online was like it's literally just a fucking maze, and like everything looks the goddamn same.
I was just fucking with you. It was a joke.
I was like, well, by the end of it, I got so pissed out about the entire game and like my entire experience. Like, I can't believe I fucking wasted time on playing this, and I just like went towards the end and struggle bust through. I was like, I'm done with it. I'm done.
I can't believe I've wasted my time. How dare you?
I mean, I like the characters at the time because like there's like obviously I was watching the anime, but it's like I like the characters. So it's like I tried to like put almost max like story relationship in that game. It's kind of like if you don't do it, if you don't have like a decent relationship with some of them, it kind of leaves them out of like the main thing. So I kind of felt bad for anyone left out. So it's like I kind of did as much with that as I could. But then, like, the actual fighting and, like, everything else in the game, I'm just going to get through this and beat the game. I don't want to play this anymore. It was, like, one of the only, like, anime game-related experiences that I had like that. Everything else is, like, I'm more, I try and, like, stay away from any game that I feel I would have with that kind of issue. But there's, like, nothing similar to that I've dealt with. So it's, like, it was like Dragon Quest was like everything was like great. There was like grinding near the end, but that's like pretty typical. But it's like Fire. Like I feel like I would like Fire Emblem, but it's like I hear like a lot of shit about it for like too much dialogue. Like the relationships are pretty decent, but it's like I'm not exactly sure that I like the way. I feel like the only game that I've seen with the playstyle was Three Houses, where it's more like a strategy, like military game.
Well, they've always been like that.
They have
the Fire Emblem has always been like the tactical RPG. You call them tactical RPGs because it's like the fighting is basically playing chess, essentially, if lack of a better word. Because I'm not a huge Fire Emblem fan. I was for a little while because I think what was it? It was I think the Smash Brothers for Wii U and 3DS Smash 4 that had Lucina in it. And I saw her and I was like, oh, Girl Marth, she's cute. I wonder what game she's from. And I was like, oh, it's from Fire Emblem Awakening, I believe. So I decided to get it on my DS. And it was pretty fun. I liked it. And then Fates came out and I played that. And I was one of the lucky few that got the super cool copy that had both versions on one thing. But then like Three Houses came out and I kind of fell off of it because I started getting tired of it. I'm not the biggest fan of tactical RPGs, and I don't know, there's just something about Three Houses I don't really care for. But that actually is another, genre of game that is often used in anime games, because isn't there a whole series of Final Fantasy that's called Final Fantasy Tactics, and it's just that?
Yeah, I mean, there's Final Fantasy Tactics and Final Fantasy Tactics Advanced. I think, and they did like a remake or something like War of the Lions. But like there's an entire franchise built on it called Disgaea, and
Disgaea,
that one
I
is
know.
like
Yeah, that's tactical RPG.
Disgaea.
That's
Disgaea is a tactical RPG for sure, and it's leans into that anime theme crazy. And I know Jordan's put a lot of time into it. I put a lot of time into Disgaea 1 and 2. I kind of fell off of the franchise later.
I've wanted to always play one, and I never have. Just haven't.
I think the newest one is the first time they actually went with like 3D character models, because they used to do like the high res sprites. So it was like little illustrations. But like the characters are fun. I have the art book for that game, and I like going through it because like I just there's so many different characters in it. It's really kind of neat.
That's probably one of the most enjoyable things about anime games, where it's just like, oh, if you get the art book, it's pretty much like an anime book.
Yeah. Well, again, it's I mean, the biggest thing about anime is the art style,
Yeah.
right? So the book's going to be really interesting. So, yeah, it. Fuck, I just had something in my head. Oh, I think I said it before, and like games that are bad that we like. Episode, Senran Kagura, which is basically just Degeneracy, the game. But they have a ton of games, and I think I was a bit mean to it because I really do like that franchise. When in that episode saying it was bad, it's like I wouldn't describe Senran Kagura as bad. I feel like I regret saying that. It's not bad. It's just kind of shallow because it's like we have gameplay. It works. Like the game's not glitchy, but like let's be real. The whole point of this is that you're here to see fucking anime boobies. It's like we're not trying to be super deep or anything.
Hell
here,
yeah.
What I've never heard of that game, and I don't exactly remember you talking about it. What is it?
I only said it in passing. So it's a whole series of games called Senran Kagura. And the thing about it is that again, it's like
I think I remember.
so they have oh fuck, they have a bunch of different games that it like their main series is like a mix between a Dynasty Warriors and like a action, Devil May Cry game sort of thing. Then they have spin-offs where it's pinball or Cookin' Mama and shit like that. But at the end of the day, the whole point is that somehow, some way, the fucking clothes are going to blast off of their bodies. They will find a way.
Okay, I just Googled it, and the first picture is just a bunch of girls hugging each other. I was like, I remember what this is.
Well, that was really nice, and unironically, when they do try, they can actually make a pretty decent story. It's just that it's like, what's trying? We know why you're here. But I mean, I really like those games because, like I said, they're not bad. They're just kind of shallow sometimes. The gameplay works. The games have never been like buggy or glitchy. It's just like it's like it's Dynasty Warriors with boobies. Or it's like, or it's Cookin' Mama with boobies. It's like that's it.
I mean,
we're not even gonna pretend to be deeper than that.
I mean, I guess it's logical that like if you're fighting and using superpowers, obviously your clothes are gonna rip. They're not indestructible. So it's just like you can blame us for doing that, but it's just like, hey, this is realism, technically.
So, I mean, I was actually with Corey when I bought the pinball version. It's like they go so far. They found a way to make a game where it's just like, all right, it's pinball, except you're hitting the ball with the paddles, and the ball's bouncing off their ass and their tits the whole time.
I've never seen anything like that.
Exactly. But it's just it's just degeneracy. Yeah, Edwin's like, I'm gonna look that up now.
No, I'm not gonna bother looking that up. I was like, I'm not gonna play that.
Are you sure? It's pretty fun.
I mean, is it at least like high quality?
I mean, it works. It's high quality enough. I mean, I only paid $40 for it. It's not like they charge you a full priced game.
Okay, because I feel like the pinball games is like there's not too many of them. They're like high quality. It's just like regular ass pinball. I mean, but it's just I mean, I guess it can't be worse than like those shooting. Like those shooting games where you're just shooting a picture, like the cover off a picture and just revealing like a sexy girl behind it. There's like a ton of games like that on the Switch. It's just cluttered with that kind of shit.
And the Switch's online store is full of like a bunch of nonsense games.
It's like how the Wii was when it was physical. It's just a bunch of shovelware that they let exist for some reason.
It's funny because it's just like it's Nintendo and they're like always strict about everything, and it's like our target audience is kids, but it's so like, hey, it was like we got like 100 hentai games. Do you want it? It was like, and Nintendo's like, hell yeah, just put it on the Switch.
It's not even It's not even like real hentai. I think that's why they let them, because it's like they look at the game, it's like, oh, this isn't even like real hentai. It's like, it's just name only, you know.
It's just funny because it's like I think I saw like their requirements and like what they had to review the game for, but it's just like someone has to review all this shit, so it's just like I'm probably sick of seeing a lot of those. There's like, oh god damn, another hentai
One
game.
guy's like, here we go.
There's there's another game that I actually completely forgot about that I did play. I didn't play the second one, but it's like it's Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch. I was like,
I heard
I like Ni no Kuni.
that game is
Both
basically
those
fucking
games are
Pokemon.
so different. Yeah, the first one is Pokemon. The second one is not.
Yeah,
It's more of like an action RPG game.
it's like the second one actually did sound cool, but like when I saw Corey play like the combat, it's like a Diablo, but it plays like Dynasty Warriors where you command an army. Isn't that what it's like?
No, that's just one of the mini games when you're like going to take over the world, because the main character is the little king guy who's like, I'm going to unite everybody by force.
How the hell did I see you do like 3 fights and that's all I saw? It's just like that little mini game. I didn't see you like
Those
actually do an
take a
actual
while.
fight.
That's probably how you ended up seeing it, because it's like, well, I know that one of them crashed my system just because of like I had to fight the boss by not looking at him, because every time he appeared on screen, my PlayStation would freaking explode. So it's like there's too much shit going on. So I was fighting him blind and hoping that I would win. But it's probably because it's also a base builder, and when you're doing the base building, if you want to get more points and stuff, you can go out onto a match like that. So, yeah, you probably saw me do it a lot because I was trying to level up my kingdom to max. So I was just doing all of those minigame missions.
Well, it's like literally the only thing I've seen about that one is like you playing it and then you explaining it. But it's like the first one, while it's a good game overall, there's like some strange like missions that they force you to do. Is like, this doesn't make a lot of sense. Where it's just like, oh, you gotta feed like a cow like cheese or something. But it's just like go out, learn the recipe for cheese, go to the fountain and make cheese, and that's the mission. It's like, that's kind of weird. And like the
Understandable.
yeah, like the missions were also not the mission. The fighting was also kind of weird, but it's just like it was like near the end, it just got super hard for no apparent reason. But it's just like it was like a very huge spike in it. But it's like it's just really weird because like you fight as both the main character and as your Pokemon. But it's like if you're not playing one of them, it's like the other one plays automatically. But it's like it's very strange to play. And it's like the whole way through. But like the main issue that I had with it is just walking everywhere because it takes fucking forever. But it's like you walk slow and like you can get like a boost, which hardly does anything because the base speed of walking around the overworld is still slow as hell. Like, oh, you go walk 50% faster. It's like, yeah. So it's like you take it. It takes like maybe 1 second less to get anywhere. But it's like that's like the main. Like probably most of your playtime is just walking around trying to find new Pokemon or whatever the hell those things are called. But like this,
Pokemon.
Yeah. I mean that's pretty much what it was. It's like I feel like there's another game like that, like of the same type, similar type. But like the story in it was pretty cool. It's similar to like it's like Cyberpunk, where it's like melodramatic at the end. It's like it was like, oh, technically you did save the world, but like the whole purpose of doing so did not resolve in a good way.
Mhm.
But it's like it was cool because like a lot of the cutscenes are like the cutscenes were like a lot of it was 3D, but like some parts of it were like it was literally an anime. It's a Ghibli studio style like anime cutscene of 2D art. So it was really cool getting to those parts. But it was like it was a good game. I wouldn't go back to it because of how long it took and kind of how annoying it was. But it was like at least playing it once is still a good experience to try. Like I'm curious about the second one because, as Corey said, it's like a base builder. I kind of like those, however, not in like the the RTS style. So it's like if that one has like a base builder and like you can go leave and then go on an adventure. It's kind of like how Cult of Lamb is. You build your base and then you go on an adventure of your own to try and bring back new things, and then you come back to like a better village or like a rich village that you manage and left. It's like I like those kinds of games, but like the RTS I do not like. I don't care if it's anime or not.
That's pretty much how that game operated. Was like you go out into the world, you find more people to move to your town, and then they have like a mission for you, and then you go do that mission, leveling up, and then you don't even get to that part until like a little bit a ways through the game, because you need to find a place to start your kingdom. Because I think the game starts off, the little kid, he has to flee his castle, and then it's a whole story about like running away from all of that, and then he has to build up a new kingdom to go fight the people who overthrew his kingdom. So it turns into like a micromanaged base builder, but that's not the main play style of the game. There's still like regular dungeons and stuff to run around and like fight things. It plays more like the newer Final Fantasies, where you're just kind of wailing on enemies that are running around.
Yeah, I like those kinds of games where it's just like, even though it was like if you feel like you're not progressing very far in like your own adventure, like you're still walking around trying to find treasure, not really doing much, you still actually are doing much because your town is progressing passively because you've managed it well. So it's still like, regardless of what you're doing, even if you're not even playing the game, you're just sitting there, that your game is still helping you progress. So it's like one of those AFK like mobile games where it's like you just leave it alone, and then it's like one of those time waster kind of things. But it's just like you still can do something on the side while like you get stronger. I freaking forgot what that game was. What was that Rice Goddess game that your parents like?
Sakura Rice and Ruin.
Yeah, like that game was actually like when I was like when they gifted it to me, I'm like, what the hell is this?
I almost bought
it. It's like
Sakuna.
Yeah. There's like when they first gave me that, it was like I have no idea what the hell this is. I've never seen this before in my life. But apparently it was like a Kickstarter game is what it said on the box. But like that game was actually pretty dope. It was kind of hard. It was like challenging in some ways, but probably the most challenging thing about it is the type of game that I like. The thing that I just explained, where like a kind of like a base builder, and then you go off and do your own venture. However, it's like a weird mechanic, like that whole like the purpose of like that story is weird, but like the story is you're a rice goddess, and what you have to do is like you kind of lost your position in like the hierarchy of the gods. So it's like you're like pretty much like a peasant level goddess in the mortal world. And then
if my divine power only exceeded over rice, I don't think my place in the hierarchy would be very high either.
Well, a lot of people like eating it.
Well, yeah, that was the point, where it's just like people like wish you like pray to you for like a good harvest, and then like your rice feeds like the majority of the mortal realm. So that's why your praise so high in the hierarchy. So like the more praise you get, the stronger you actually are. But what the problem is that like the evil kind of corrupted like the god realm and the mortal realm. So like your people that were praising you were killed, and our harvests were corrupted. So it's like you lost your power, and then you were betrayed and all that. So you have to go to the mortal realm and fix it without your full power. So the point of it is that you go to this kind of like abandoned shack that used to belong to like your mortal parents or some shit. I forgot. It's been like maybe 6 years since I played that game. Maybe like closer to a decade or so.
I don't know if it's been out
like the point
that long.
Well, I was like, I forgot like when I actually played it and like when I actually finished it, because I think I fell off at some point. But like the point of it is like you go to like this abandoned shack that that like your parents or someone left for you. Like I guess like your godly parents also like had to go through the same thing that you were just doing, that you're about to do. So like since the people that were praising you and you're like abandoned and like half your powers corrupted, you were trusted with like this kind of dog spirit that your parents also left for you. So it was your guide, but also your weapon, and you can like customize your weaponry. But like the purpose of the base builder is that you do like adopt some orphans to join your camp, so they can kind of help you out. But the main purpose, and this was the hardest part of the game, was farming rice. That would, every time you harvest it, it would give you boosts based on how well you farmed. But it was so detailed and so specific that it's almost impossible unless you played the game like maybe 2 times over to try and perfect it without like any of the additional help. Because it's based on the water level, the placement of the reeds, the temperature, the season, all that shit, and like more. And it's just like it's really hard to like try and perfect it for like the maximum amount of boosts. Because like because while like I said, it's like while you're out there, like your farm is gonna change and like the time goes forward regardless. So it's like the the temperature of the water changes throughout the day. So if you're gone for too long, then your crops get cold or too hot. So it slows down their growth or like nearly kills them. So it's like you left for nothing. And then like you have to make sure that you manage your inventory. So like, you can make better fertilizer with like these monster parts or meat or something. So that you kind of have to go out to find food for yourself and your friends as well. So it's like a lot of micromanaging, but it's like also based on like how well you do. But you get like boosts that help you out with that. But it's like it's still everything is on you. Like you can get all the help in the world, but everything is still on your shoulders to manage. But like that game, it gets challenging at some parts. It doesn't exactly tell you like if you're in like a secret location with like more difficult enemies. And as the day goes on, if you hit night, then it's kind of like in some zombie games where like everything is like twice as strong. So like you got to get back at some point, otherwise everything is going to kill you. So it's like it's a fairly complex and like weird game. The concept is, but it's still a really fun game. It's like
I mean, that game's been on my radar since I knew about it, and just hearing you talk about it now, I'm like, I'm more interested in playing it now because it sounds like way more involved than I was imagining it was going to be. So
yeah, there's like it is an anime game, so there's like a lot of dialogue in some parts, but I mean it's story based, so it is quite important and like some lore in it too. So I would recommend it. It was like what is it? That other Pokemon game that I was thinking about, I had to try and look it up, but it's like Shin Tensei 5? Not specifically that one, but I don't know if like the other ones are kind of rounded around the idea of Pokemon. I think Corey, you bought it, the 5th one, Shin Megami Tensei 5.
Oh, Shin Megami Tensei 5.
Yeah,
because we were talking about that earlier. Because Jordan was talking about, he brought up Nocturne off podcast, and I think that's like it's just a part of the franchise because there's like a bunch of them. There's Nocturne, Digital Devil Saga, Devil Summoner. Shin Megami 5 is like a Switch exclusive, I think. I haven't played it yet, but I have it on the shelf. I just know that it's a like mature Pokemon. I mean, that's how Nocturne was too. Like, you level them up, you can fuse them together, but it's like a monster fighter game.
Listen,
just
it can't
freaking hard.
Yeah, I mean, it can't be worse than Final Fantasy 13 2. Like, I'm at the end point of that game, and I'm just like, I don't care about this anymore.
And my
I don't
less,
know why
less
that
hardcore
be
version
like a sequel thing. Yeah, because Final Fantasy 13 2 does that. Tales of Symphonia 2 kind of has something like that going for it. It's kind of like it. There's other games that do it, and I'm like, is this just the throwaway for the sequel? Because they're like, no one wants the same battle system. We got to innovate some way. It's like, no, it's fine.
Was wait, Udon, were you gonna say something?
I was like, you're talking about Shinigami Tensei. I'm like, and my less serious favorite spin-off, Persona, because that's just Shinigami Tensei, but less serious.
You talking about Persona made me interested in it.
Like I said, I recommend 5. 5 is probably the most user friendly. I'm not gonna lie, I like 5 and 4, and I'm playing the remake of 3 right now, and I still think 5 and 4 are superior. 3 is fine. It's a lot less involved than the other two, because I mean it's fun to me because it's like Persona. I mean I talked about a decent bit with the JRPG, but it's just like on one half of the game it's a creature collector sort of thing with the personas and basically Pokemon type advantages kind of combat turn-based thing, and then you have your life sim part of it that helps your other stuff when you're fighting the things, and the characters are really fun and the storylines are really good for the most part, aside from some stupid things here and there, but it's anime, so I forgive it sometimes for doing dumb shit. But I just like Persona. I've never touched Shinigami Tensei because all I heard is like it's Persona but really hard and punishing. So I just haven't tried it, even though it's like the same kind of game. They even use like the same monsters like between both of them. But you only said it briefly when you were talking about the Rice and Ruin game, but you're bringing up mobile games, and I wanted to obviously touch on gacha games again outside the monetization thing, because obviously like 90% of gacha games are all like anime style based, because you got to roll that money to get that JPEG of your waifu.
Yeah. You got to pay for the licenses you have to hold.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I can't just download this off Google. I have to pay $500 to get it. But I mean, I can go in, since we're not talking about monetization anymore, and I kind of feel like I did a bad job representing that anyways in that episode. But anyways, I mean, again, I'm the one who plays gacha games here. I know Edwin and Corey have touched on that. What was it?
Brave Frontier.
Brave Frontier, yeah. And also, I mean, you looked at it when I was talking about it. If you like Konosuba, Edwin, you might want to try Fantastic Days. It's not too like up your ass.
I mean, I already downloaded, but I haven't like taken the time to actually play
it. Well, if you start playing it, let me know. You can friend me. But I think like at least when it comes to like licensed gacha games, it's kind of like, I mean, obviously they're taking the fan base for a ride and they just want more money, right? But at the same time, it's like in between, the months and months and sometimes years, especially in Konosuba's case, it's like between content, essentially. Like, it's like Konosuba, I consume the anime, I consume the light novel, I consume the manga, but then, like, the gacha game is, like, constantly updated with, like, new little mini stories that I get to enjoy the world and the characters more in while I'm waiting for, like, other content, and that's kind of what I really like about gacha games, is because of their, like, continuously updating content. It's just if you like the world and you like the characters and they keep updating it with like new stories and side events, like between being serious or a comedic event or something like that, you're just getting more content constantly. And that the Konosuba Fantastic Days was a big thing about that, and like it applies to my Fate as well. I mean, Fate isn't a lot of stuff outside the gacha game, but like after Fate Grand Order came out, Fate Grand Order is almost like the primary way to consume Fate now. But Fate has a ton of animes. It has a ton of animes based on the stories in the gacha game, but it just gives me more content about all the characters that I like, introducing new characters that I like in that same world with those same rules and the world building. It's what Corey was saying earlier. Like anime like tends to really go hard with the world building, and so they build this world, and it's almost their playground narratively to do whatever they want with. And if you're into that world, the games are just, letting you live out that fantasy, essentially. Because I mean, it's almost the same thing with like what was that? People who like One Piece, and it's like they had that open world One Piece game. I'm sure those fans were like ecstatic about that. In fact, I heard a lot of people like that game. And it's like I want to be in that world, Whereas like Fate, it's mostly about the characters and it's like I want to see what the new servants are. I want to see what their new what their take on this historical figure or this mythological entity is going to be. I want to see how they're going to do it. I mean, hell, I just rolled another 5-star today out of fucking pure luck. But it was a Minamoto Tameteo, I think it is. But he's like this. huge space marine looking samurai dude, like half robot, half samurai. He's this giant guy on screen with a huge, like, he uses a bow and arrow, but it's like the guys from Anor Londo bow and arrow, where it's less of a bow and arrow and more of like a giant harpoon, where he has to like stick it in the ground and fucking like pull the thing way back because of how big it is.
So it's like futuristic, but also historical.
It's give and take. So how Fate works, Fate launching into the entire.
I mean, I've only seen one. It had like Alexander the Great.
Well, I'm trying to like simplify it for you, essentially, because the whole lore of Fate is so wacky and all over the. Well, not wacky is the wrong word. It's just vast. There's a lot to it.
Variations of the show.
Yeah. The long story short is that typically there's a Holy Grail war between I think it's 6 or 7 mages, and they summon servants, which are basically incarnations of famous historical figures or mythological figures, as long as like that person or character is incredibly prevalent within the collective, like humanity's like collective unconsciousness. And what I mean by that, it's like everyone knows who's King Arthur is. Everyone knows who Alexander the Great is. Everyone knows who Gilgamesh is. You know, it's like, it's just known. And they summon these characters that are like fictional versions of the most perfected version of that character, and they possess like superhuman strength, essentially. And it is almost like Pokemon, so they have to fight everyone, except it's way darker because the whole point is like it's a battle royale. Everyone fights to the death, and the last one standing gets the Holy Grail. And so seeing their different takes on different kinds of mythological and historical figures, especially in, you know, obviously the mobile game Fate Grand Order is the primary way to do it. But because it's like, obviously, you know, the prime example, they just gender bent King Arthur, which they do because it's hard finding like especially the more far back you go, finding like super prevalent combat oriented, like, you know, like militaristic female historical figures is incredibly rare. So they'll gender bend to their will, but they also sometimes do it in the opposite way. But at the same time, that's also why I like Fate, because a lot of gacha games are just like all females all the time, and I actually can't get into that because it's like men exist. Like, I'm not going to pretend that they don't. Mm-hmm. And don't get me wrong, obviously Fate has fantastic waifus and uses it all the time, but they also, you know, as I said, I just rolled a male character today. They have their own male characters, but yeah, so like you have like King Arthur, who they gender bent essentially into female King Arthur, and they just wrote it off as like, oh, you know, she was a female the whole time, but just, you know, pretended to be a male in life and shit like that. Or like Merlin, or even like fictional figures, like Paul Bunyan, or like William Tell, or like you have other ones like Frankenstein. That's a servant, and that's just because the story is incredibly popular. But it's just this wide range of things, so they can pick from like literally anything. Seeing stuff like how they made like Thomas Edison, fucking Gilgamesh, Tesla, like all these sorts of things is super interesting from all different kinds of cultures. And it's just, I don't know. I'm just spouting off about Fate now, less about the game. But
I mean, it's like the same concept as Record of Ragnarok, which Corey introduced me. So it's just like, if like that game was made into a fighting game, I don't care if it's like as generic as the others. That shit was dope.
Oh yeah, like, well, that's why I was like, I think I don't know if you joined the call yet, but Corey was Corey picked up a weird like Mahjong Fate thing for the PSP when he was out and about for me, and I was telling him that there was a Fate Stay Night fighting game for the PS2 that was Japanese only, and I'm just like, I want that, I want it now. And then recently they came out with Melty Blood, which was technically a Tsukihime fighting game, which was a Fate adjacent property that takes place in the world, but like the guest character was King Arthur from Fate, and they actually added 3 other characters from Fate Grand Order, the gacha mobile game, as DLC into the mainline fighting game that they made. But that's just how popular it is. And like that game itself has tons of like IRL events in Japan and stuff like that. But again, I'm just kind of spouting off about my love of Fate now. But I think that's why people like gacha games, though. It's like it's mainly it's supposed to be like supplementary to whatever the primary IP is, like the Konosuba is, but like Fate kind of like evolved into being the primary way to consume that IP. It's just like extra stuff for people, more stuff with the characters they love, more stuff with the world building, whether that's good or bad.
Well, a lot of it, I think, is like those gacha games. I feel like they're basically like a modern day card collector type thing. Like I like it. I enjoy collecting cards like Yu-Gi-Oh cards, Pokemon cards, and blah blah blah. But like the gacha games are basically that kind of feeling for a lot of people that play them because it's like their franchise and you don't have to worry about storing them anywhere or messing them up.
Yeah, I mean,
does Yu-Gi-Oh count as a gacha game?
Kinda. I mean, trading cards is the same.
Depending on which one you're playing.
Yeah, it's like it's the
You
same.
know, I guess Duel Masters would be, but like, I'm buying a pack of cards and I'm opening them up. I mean, buying cards for TCGs and stuff is like the original gacha game.
Like one of the only benefits of getting multiples of one card, if it's really good.
Yeah, I mean the gacha pushes that too, but like,
not for Brave Frontier, really.
Well, most gacha games will usually have some kind of huge benefit for it's like, oh, you rolled them once, so how about you do it again for a power boost? But like Fate Grand Order itself is like a turn-based RPG, and it's just like, yeah, I rolled for the JPEG of my waifu, but at the same time, it's like oh, I got a new archer class, so I was low on archers. I needed a good archer. This one's really good at the Buster stat, or has like a sure hit ability or something. Or I rolled fucking Merlin that'll let me do like as a support character that'll let me power up my people super well. Like they have so many. Again, I'm gushing over Fate, but it's just like there's so many mechanics to Fate as like a game itself, ignoring the gacha mechanics that I really enjoy about it, being just strategic turn-based RPG combat. With only a little bit of RNG involved in the mainstay of the game. But I just wanted to touch on gacha games and at least why I like them. Again, it's not entirely the whole reason, but that's why people would like to consume those anime gacha games, specifically the primary IP ones like Fate or Konosuba, because it just gives them a constant stream of content to consume, more or less. Whereas something like a visual novel, I like visual novels, and my friend actually asked me one day, it's like, what's the point of a visual novel? And I'm not the biggest consumer of them. I am excited for Tsukihime coming out, and they are going to remake and remaster Fate Stay Night and release it, I don't know, later this year or next year, that I'm also excited about. But it's like, as a reader and as like a person, who likes anime and stuff like that, it's like, it is reading a book. You're just reading for the most part, but you are making decisions in these games, again, for the most part, that will affect the storyline. So there's usually like different endings you can get. So you're participating in the story and you're reading it. There's lots of good artwork to go with it. There's sound effects and soundtracks and stuff going on depending on what you're playing. It's usually voiced or not. It typically is usually voiced, but I mean, it's a visual novel. It's literal. It's a book, but enhanced, and that's why people like it. Do I have a hard time classifying it as a game? I guess so, because again, what's the gameplay other than making decisions? Essentially, you're just clicking from a list of dialogue options, but it's still a way just to get, it's reading a book. You're getting immersed in the world with the characters in the story, and you're just like consuming it and enjoying it, like just on a really basic level, just reading stuff. And it all comes back to, I really think Corey hit the nail on the head at the very beginning, where he was just like, people like anime because of world building and characters, because I feel like that's what anime does really well. Stories are debatable, because I enjoy some animes that have some bunk ass stories, but like the worlds are usually cool, the characters are usually pretty good, and that's why people keep coming back for them. And these are just all different ways to consume them in different styles and different levels of like involvement or like dedication, essentially. So that's what I like, anime art styles. But I also just like giant anime titties too. That might just be it as well.
As it's most people. But it's like when you said like they when like a Fate like changes and like creates like their own version of like real world things, it reminded me that's kind of what Valkyrie Profile was, and it's like that's why I thought it was cool, because like reimagining of like the story of like Norse gods and stuff like that, because that's pretty much what the whole story was about. But it's like something. It's just like a revolutionize revolutionize a revision of like the concept of like that entire belief. But it's like I still like the whole idea of it. It's like it was just always a cool like Vikings were always cool to me. Like, and even like their like their gods and all that. Like obviously Thor is like popular, Odin, like in Yu-Gi-Oh, and Marvel and things like that. Now, but it's like the story of it is like that's pretty much what the whole thing is. So I don't know if like it's purposeful to talk about it. It is a lot because it's like I don't know 25 different stories mashed together because like it's the same thing or like you're just collecting people with their own stories. So it's like it kind of goes together. So it's like convoluted to try and talk about, but like the main story is just like
that's why I was trying to like simplify Fate for you because it's the same thing. There's so much shit that it gets into between multiverses and what canon we're talking about and stuff like that. I mean, but like another cool thing about Fate is that you're saying they revision stuff where Fate actually like they try and respect like the actual, especially if they're doing like an actual historical figure, to respect that actual historical figure as much as possible. Because like a really well known one is in Fate is Nero, who was like I think the 4th or 5th Roman emperor, who notoriously was incredibly awful dictator in reality. But in Fate is a cute blonde anime girl who says "umu" and is really adorable. But at the same time, in her story, she's like, "No, I did all that. Like, I'm kind of a narcissistic bitch, but I'm. It's like I love everything beautiful, and I'm not dealing with all your fucking stupidity and shit like that. I killed a bunch of people, and I died when my people like threw me out into the desert to basically die. Like I was overthrown. I was my people did not like me.
Just ooh Hitler."
I've never heard it described that way, but that's hilarious. But I don't think they would ever hit on that particularly because that's probably too much for some people. But it's like I mean, fuck. I'm looking around my room right now. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 Fate figures in here. 1 Konosuba one. Nero's on the wall next to me on a wall scroll. But yeah, I just like seeing their different kind of takes. Again, I'm just gushing over Fate now. I'm not even talking about games. I'm just talking about anime in general. But I have that Fate Samurai Revenant. I still have not started it. It's still sitting over there because I was playing Cyberpunk. Maybe I'll start it now. But I think that one plays like an action game, but I can't speak to any of it because I haven't started it yet. But that's Fate, but in rural Japan instead of modern day. So I think that'll be interesting.
I played the demo for that one.
Is it?
Does it play like an action game?
Yeah, I mean, it has that a familiar play style to it that's reminiscent of like a Dynasty Warriors style game. But like the demo doesn't really dive like into like a giant open field, go to this, go to this, go to this. It was more of like some story element that was taking place, and you fight a couple people, fight a boss, and like kind of you're introduced to the game. So I don't know if it is truly a Dynasty Warriors clone. But yeah, it was, it's pretty fun. It's one of those turn your brain off, kind of just enjoy.
Yeah. Well, there's Fate Extella, and that was the Dynasty Warriors clone that they have. Fate Extella and Fate Extella Umbral Star, but I only played Fate Extella, and then I still have Fate Extra on the PSP, but I know that's a turn-based RPG, and I still haven't started that one yet. I didn't have to play that, but yeah.
So it's like there's 2 specific games. They're not. It was like I know we talk about like action and adventure stuff, but there's like 2 specific games that have none of that. That like I've never actually played, but I was like I'm pretty sure they count as anime. But it's like I'm gonna say them both because there is like a collaboration. Because when we went to like the game store, Angie pointed it out, and it's like I was like it did look really cool just having them both together, but it's Phoenix Wright and Professor Layton.
They had a crossover.
Yeah,
I actually do remember. I actually do remember that. It was like 2 games that I never played, but like just like I kind of knew what they were, but I never actually played them myself. But like the idea of it does sound pretty cool. Where it's like a detective and a lawyer working together. So I've seen like the little bit I've seen of Phoenix Wright. It's definitely a lot more comical than what I've seen. Professor Layton is like more dark, so it's like having them both together and like doing the same thing. It's like it seems pretty cool. Despite like the polar opposites that they both are. But it's like
I would just find it weird because the mix of the art styles. Is Phoenix Wright will look at him. He's like, "Why does your head look like a block? What's wrong with your
Why do you
skull?"
look like that?
it's like I know that like I have absolutely no idea what the difficulty of Phoenix Wright is. It's like pretty comical and like you get a lot of leeway in the courtroom, I guess. But like Professor Layton, like that shit is like actually like really hard. Like you'll feel stupid playing it because of how difficult the parts are. From like what I've learned, I played like a little bit of it, very little, specifically because I could not get through it. But like I never actually played like Phoenix Wright. I've only seen it, but it's like there's like a lot of dialogue, but it's like it's very comedic, so it's like it's entertaining in that way as well as like the little detective work that you do. But like,
It's like Phoenix Wright is a visual novel, but it actually has some semblance of gameplay because you got to like get the evidence, get statements and stuff, and then like in the courtroom you have to piece it together. Essentially, it's still just glorified clicking options, but at least makes you feel like you're doing something.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that too.
It's like combined with like a very difficult game that hardly helps you unless you use like a type of money to get hint coins. But it's like it has the Professor Layton has like the same thing that I said about Ni no Kuni, where it does have like the 2D animated scenes in like some parts of it. So it's just like a really cool. I guess it also would count as a visual novel because it does have like those sections where like you're in a courtroom or like you're making decisions. So it's like it's still like a cool idea, but it's like two games that I know very little about, but I'm like interested in trying both of them. It was like it was just like a leeway from like they're both still anime related, but it's like away from like the more modern ones where it's like it's action or it's adventure or
If
RPG.
you want to play an interesting anime game that's not necessarily an action game, you should play Catherine.
I was literally like, he's gonna say Catherine, isn't he? That's the only other one I
That
can
game is
think
really
of.
fun.
It's
To
really
me,
weird.
it is weird, but like I really enjoy like what it is because it's just a puzzle game, but like it has like a really cool atmosphere. Like the story in general is kind of funny, you know.
Isn't it like isn't it the entire thing a fever dream of loving two girls?
Well, it's not a fever; it's reality. It's him dealing with the fact that he doesn't know who to go with.
Yeah, he's like and if you get the newest one, it's like a love triangle kind of thing rather than just like both girls you met, they're both named Catherine and he has to keep his story straight.
Well, no, his thing is that one of them he's already in a relationship with, and then he like meets another woman that's also called Catherine that he just likes better. So he's like torn essentially between choosing like the one he's already in a relationship with or going with the new one.
Yeah, she's younger, more fun, whereas the other one is, you know, more mature and reserved.
Yeah.
And
it's just weird that the
battling his inner thoughts of like whatever that is, and when he wakes up in a room with one of them, you know, it's kind of like a and
yeah.
I thought Catherine Full Body, the remake, it added a third girl.
It did.
It does.
I don't know what the dynamic of it is, but I've only ever played the original, so
yeah,
I haven't even beaten it because I do think the gameplay is a bit boring because it's just like it's mainly speed-based puzzle solving, which is not my forte.
The whole thing is just like the guy is like in a dream or something, dressed as a sheep, and then he's just climbing a tower.
Every time he goes to sleep, he enters the dream tower, and basically you are running away from your thoughts that are haunting you. Like one of them is a decomposed bride that's chasing you because his fear of marriage. Another one is a baby because his fear of fatherhood and things like that. So it's just like a bunch of crazy shit, and it's all just about dealing with life.
Yeah, it's very realistic.
Kind of like a visual novel.
I mean, kind of. It's a lot of story, but like,
way more interactive.
But, it's way more interactive. There's proper cutscenes and stuff, and like I said, the game itself I find a little frustrating, but it's only because I don't think very fast, and it's very just like it is puzzle solving, but you're on a timer sort of thing. So it's just like my brain can't keep up with this. I think it's a cool concept, and again, it's like it's still anime, but like it heavily more focused and like emphasizes like a realistic art style rather than just being full anime. You know, never go full anime. But,
that's like I've known about that game for a while because I've seen someone play it like all the way through. Though I'm forgetting like bits and pieces as time goes on. But it's probably one of the games that's been on my back burner for the longest. And then when they made the remake, that's just like, oh, so it's like the same thing but more. So it's like there's like a better choice for me because
ironically it would actually kind of be a really decent monthly game possibly in the future, Catherine.
Yeah, I mean it's
regardless
doable.
of the fact that you complained about it.
Mm-hmm.
It could be for the future.
For the future.
So we'll never say what it is on here. Yeah. So we'll just leave it at that.
Totally not the next game.
I think the only part about that would be unfortunate. I think Jordan would actually put a shotgun in his mouth playing that game.
What? Why?
I feel like you might have seen it.
We said he'd put a shotgun in his mouth for Dark Souls.
Well, yeah, he would too. I'm just saying. That's why I said it. Because I know what Catherine's like. Yeah.
Double barrel, one for each.
But yeah. I don't know. I just feel like it's a game that I would love to watch Jordan stream it because I would love to just hear his cries of pain.
I feel like he it's funny because like he would ask for help. No, he did ask for help for Pokemon, but if like he ever played Dark Souls, then he literally can call us for help because we can help him in the game.
Yeah, no, Catherine, you're on your own.
Well, the difference with like Pokemon though, and calling our assistants in Dark Souls is we can in Dark Souls just point them in the direction. Pokemon, it's like use these Pokemon and it's a pretty good done deal.
Yeah,
like, we can help them with bosses.
Well, I guess if we jumped in,
he's on his own with Catherine.
Yeah.
Yeah, but remember, Dark Souls, it's like pulling teeth trying to fucking connect to a specific person. So
yeah, the older ones, God. Well,
but can't just have a simple invite system. It's too much.
Well, the newest one has that ability, but was like we have to wait 12 more days for what we've been waiting for a very long time.
Is it only 12 more days? Oh yeah.
I'm excited.
On a Friday, no less.
They knew what they were doing.
Well, I guess yeah. I will be interested to see how it is. I guess that's what I'll be doing on Friday.
But Jordan, do we have any trivia?
Yes, we do. The question we can get into trivia. I'll just go ahead and throw it out there. Mm-hmm. Question number 1: in Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, which character can players control during the main story mode? Is it A, Bulma, B, Gohan, C, Vegeta, or D, Frieza?
Gohan? That's probably another game that was
honest God didn't know that fucking Kakarot even lets you play as anyone but Goku.
Well, I kind of thought of it as like a Resident Evil 4 Ashley situation where like eventually just like play a little bit of the side character just because the main character is trapped or something.
If it was that logic, I guess I would say Vegeta. Because I actually don't know what all Kakarot covers.
Is there like an all of the above answer for this one? Because I feel like you would be able to, because there's parts of the storyline where Goku isn't even there, and it's like Gohan's fighting something or Vegeta's fighting something.
Kind of why I said Gohan.
And then Bulma has to like run away from something.
Bulma is an odd choice because that would be a completely different gameplay.
Yeah, it sounds like whatever section you use her for would be completely different. It sounds like it'd be the fucking Knuckles and Rouge section from Adventure 2, and you're just running around collecting Dragon Balls when it goes beep 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 beep.
I'm gonna say Bulma.
Actually, that does make sense.
The answer was Gohan.
Okay,
that would be my second guess, I suppose.
Yeah, it's just that one is so obvious because he fights Cell. So,
yeah, but Vegeta fights a bunch of shit too. So I mean,
and loses plot.
Well, yeah, no one wins except for Goku.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm curious how Gohan is being played. It's the same as Goku, but in one
I've only ever played My roommate played Kakarot, and I think I played like the demo.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I think the last Dragon Ball Z game I played was Dragon Ball Fighter Z, and that's like Android 21.
Yep.
I'm buying it. I have no idea what this game is. I'm good. Let's go. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So, question number 2: the Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 4. What is the final battle between in the main story mode? Is it A, Naruto versus Sasuke, B, Kakashi versus Obito, C, Sakura versus Madara, or D, Hinata versus Kaguya?
Let's just say Naruto and Sasuke because I don't know anything about Naruto.
I'm gonna say Naruto and Sasuke because of their giant forms or whatever.
Yeah, I feel like that would be the thing to leave. Yeah, that would be the thing to leave it off on. Yeah,
because they fight each other after the Kagura thing.
Yeah.
The answer was Naruto versus Sasuke.
Okay. Yeah, as I say, I'm like, that's
fighting out the water.
Yeah.
All right,
it's
that's a really cool fight. Too.
Well, yeah, it's like, I mean, unironically, we already said it, but it is like the games are unironically a really good way to consume the story because you actually get to, do the fight essentially, and
yeah.
I mean, my personal favorite.
I mean, it lends itself to that format, anyways, because there are adventure games like that you run around in Naruto, but like no one really talks about those often. They just mainly talk about the Storm games.
Well, I mean, even the first Ninja Storm, because I bought a 4-pack when it was in like a bundle, and like the first Ninja Storm was like way more like adventure-y than like it was like it was almost like an RPG more than it was just a fighting game. It just got consistently more like watered down into like just a fighting game the longer the series went on.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jordan.
I never played any of Naruto games, so it's like I can't add anything to this.
All right, the last final question. In Persona 5, which character is the Phantom of Thieves, navigator and responsible for assisting the team with analysis and advice during battle? Is it A, Ryuji Sakamoto, B, Ann Takamaki, C, Makoto Nijima, or D, Futaba Sakura?
This one here, you fucking struggle with the words.
I am fucking. I wanted to say it beforehand. If I fuck up these names, please let me know. I don't know. I'm fucking, hoping. I'm hoping.
Yeah, you said them right. I just find it funny. Just the slow pronunciation is all. It's D, Futaba, even though technically it's a trick question.
Yeah,
I'm going to
agree for you.
Yeah, it was Futaba Sakura.
Trick question, because half the game it's Morgana. She only joins in like halfway through the game. So.
All right. Well,
I just realized we're talking about anime games, and none of us has even bothered to mention Genshin Impact.
Because I don't want to. Here's the thing. All right, fucking Genshin Impact is I mean, has anyone else here played Genshin at all except for me?
No.
I played a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's fine. I don't know. It's too much because even Fate Grand Order, I'm able to consume in like bite-sized pieces on the daily, even because again, I haven't missed a login and like I can't log in. It's going to take me too long in silence to check right now. But I think the last time I checked, it was like I'm up to 1,500 days consecutive login or something like that. But I don't know. I can consume it in bite-sized pieces where I feel like Genshin Impact was asking way too much of my time for what essentially was still a gacha mobile game at the end of the day. Like, it was too much grinding. The currency was too hard to get. I like gacha games that are, like, fairly nice with their currency. Like, choosing to buy some is usually, like, if I choose to save, I should be able to, like, realistically get enough currency within like 3 or 4 months to like do a decent gacha session, whereas like Genshin Impact was like really stingy with its free currency, so they really wanted you to buy the premium currency. I mean, granted, it's a free to play game, so of course they have to entice you to buy shit, but I don't know. And the gameplay was just like, it was coming off like straight off of, Breath of the Wild. So obviously they copied like the climbing stamina meter and the glider and shit like that, and just made it like an RPG anime game. Plus, on top of that, I don't really care for the combat. I don't like the like switching deal in middle of battle. Like your character just keeps like swapping whoever you're playing as to like combine. I like the elemental combining aspect of it, but just like, I don't know, the character switching always felt like really clunky to me, and it just never flowed well. Like I played Honkai Star Rail, which is the same company's like sci-fi turn-based one, which plays really different from Genshin Impact, and I like that way more. I still don't play it on the regular. I just tried it out of curiosity, and I thought it was fine. But
Yeah, I feel like I like that one more.
yeah, I like I say, I like it more. I'm still not going to play it, but like it just feels like both Honkai and Genshin just had this really bad thing to me where it's just like it asked way too much of my time on the daily to like keep up with the resource collection, XP grind, and the fact, like I said, getting the free currency that you would have to do daily things for. It just takes too long. Not to mention that it's a mobile game technically, but you're going to want to play it on the computer because it's so like high fidelity that playing it on the phone is like really not good. Like you have to have like the tippy top of the line phone to like run it smoothly. Like when people get new phones that want to run games, they literally run Genshin Impact on it to like just to like test its like limits. Essentially, is like one of the things that they test on it. I don't know. I think it's fine. I can see why it's popular. I mean, I was shocked when Corey said his dad played it. I mean, the character design, A plus. I love the characters. They all look fantastic. There's the what was it? The character Mona, I think her name is. She's like the witch aqua, like the water witch character with the big witch hat and stuff. Love her. I have to physically restrain myself from buying the statue I see of her every time I'm at the store. Just like, I don't even play this game. This statue's like $200, but god damn it, it looks awesome.
I think when I kept seeing that character, it was like, and I realized it was Genshin Impact. I think I specifically opened Genshin Impact to try and get it.
Right? It's just
for no reason.
Yeah, well, because it's like booty. But,
well, I mean, I just like the way she looked. It was like obviously like I like the magic. Oh, she looks sorceress.
Yeah, I like the way she looked too. She's hot. I like the witch style look, but yeah, the characters I don't have any problem with. But like, god damn it, I feel like I grind way less on Fate, and I would end up spending. I've only spent money once on Genshin and got really, really burned on it because Genshin's rates are really shit. Like I was talking about monetization, I felt like again I wasn't representing Fate really well, and I feel like I need a whole episode to properly explain how gacha games work, but Fate had like a 1% chance of getting a 5-star unless they've changed it. Like Genshin has less than that. Like getting a 5-star is like really hard in Genshin. Their pity system is better than Fate's and most gacha games, but goddamn it, they really ask you to spend that money to get to that pity because like I think it was like how it works is like after so many summons you have like a 50-50 shot of getting a character, and then like after so many summons you have like 100% chance of getting a character or something like that. Or getting a 5-star. I don't know if it guarantees you the character. Long story short, the one time I spent money was the second favorite character I like on Genshin, which was Ganyu, like the goat girl. And I was like, oh, I'll spend a little bit of money because I can get like the 50-50 split. I'll get a 5-star, and there's like 50% chance it'll be Ganyu. But I only have one 5-star in this game, so even if it isn't Ganyu, I should get something good anyways, right? So I spend money and I get to that 50-50 shot and it rolls it, and it's the same fucking character I already have. Granted, he got a little bit stronger, but I was just so pissed. I was like, no, fuck this game. I'm done. That is the worst luck I've ever had in a gacha game. Fuck this noise. I was like, I paid money and I got the same fucking character I already had. And I only have like a very small handful of characters in the entire roster. It's ridiculous. Yeah. But it's a free to play game that's built on daily play, but I almost feel like it's like other, like almost a battle royale. Like it's like if you play the game, that's the game you play, like period, because that's going to take you a while to do all the daily tasks. It just takes too long to give my daily attention to, which is my biggest issue, because it's a whole RPG. It's good, but it's just too much attention to give to a game on a daily basis, you know? Whereas Fate, I can pop in and burn all my AP and like within 15 minutes probably. If I'm doing like story stuff, yeah, I'm going to be there for maybe even an hour or two, but I can choose just not to do that and just engage with that later. But like the daily stuff, really easy. And I think that that's something that gacha games need, is that being able to keep up with your daily tasks to make sure you're getting all of your worth out of the game on a daily basis should only take you like 10 to 15 minutes max. Like, it can't be any longer than that. Whereas Genshin, when I was trying to play it on a daily basis, I think the daily task took me at least 30 minutes if it was fast. And I know it's like, oh, it's only a half hour. It's like, yeah, but that's still a lot, especially for some people, especially for me when my fucking time after work is limited as it is. 30 minutes is a long time. It's too much. If it was the only thing I played, it would be fine. So it might be more of a personal thing, but I don't know. It's just too much. Too much. And it's like I said, not great with the free currency. So
yeah, it's the same thing for Destiny. It was like it asked for too much time. But it's like the Brave Frontier. The reason why I spent $1,000 was because of the same pity system, where it didn't give you anything back. It's just like it just gave you better chances when you pay more. But I find it funny. I find it funny that you said it was like, oh, it was like Fate has like the AP system, where it's like you have a limited amount of time that you can spend on it, but it's that's the reason why it's better for you, because it makes you stop playing on by force rather than Genshin Impact, where it's completely free and you can play as long as you want.
Well, Genshin was limiting because they have I think it was called like resin or something, because it only limits you in a certain aspect, because it limits you from like your dungeon runs, which is still really important, because that's the other thing. There was just like too many moving parts for Genshin for my liking. I guess maybe Fate has a lot of moving parts, and maybe it's just because I grew up with the game that I'm more akin to it, but it's just like every character has all these abilities, and you have 5 different ability slots or equipment slots for them, and all this other synergy with this, that, and the other thing. It was like so many moving parts. And whereas Genshin had the resin system, and technically, yes, I could keep playing the game, but the thing is also true for Fate. I mean, granted, it's my account, so it's not true for everyone, but I have so many items that I could just refresh my AP as much as I wanted. I could probably be doing it for like weeks and months on end, and I would never have to stop playing the game. So, I mean, I just use the naturally occurring one. I only burn those items when I'm doing like a lottery event or something where I have to like actively farm. But it's just more like, it's not because it forced me to stop playing, because it's like Genshin's daily stuff was like, do this escort mission, or like go harvest this, that, and the other thing. Do this like wave-based like just things that take a lot of time. Whereas just like, oh, I just run through this mission 3 or 4 times because it consumes 40 AP, and like the mission itself takes me like, I don't know, less than a minute to run through if I'm doing everything properly, where it's not nearly as tedious on me, you know? I mean, Pokemon Masters, I'm so fast at that, I can get all the dailies done on that game in 5 minutes. Same thing with like Konosuba. And Konosuba's is so hands-off that I do it in the morning when I'm getting ready for work. Every time I pass by my phone, I tap something else to do some other daily thing on there. I don't even have to pay attention to it, but like Genshin Impact requires your full attention. Again, gacha games, like you were saying earlier, like mobile games have a lot of like hands-off components. Like Genshin, again, it's kind of a good thing, but it's just like it requires your full attention. There's like no auto battle or anything. You can skip some stuff with the resin, I think, but I think it's generally more profitable to like actually play the game. Like I said, just too much of your time. So if that's the only game you play, that's fine. But like even if I wanted to play as like my second side game, it's just too much time. I don't have enough time to devote to what it asks of you for you to be able to keep up with all the equipment farming and the character farming and the fucking currency farming and the food farming and all these other. It's just too much. That's it. That's a SparkNotes version of that. Genshin Impact, it's too much. Characters are fantastic. Everything else is meh.
I mean, I had to bring it up because this is the anime game, and that's like one of the most popular ones, and didn't want another like not mentioning Rock Band for like the party game situation again. It's like the most obvious game, and you didn't mention it.
Out there, so.
There's still plenty of others out there,
so I'm sure we'll cover them in the future.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's not untrue. I mean, Genshin Impact is incredibly popular. I mean, I think what pissed me off is that I don't put much stock into the Game Awards, but it was in the running for, like, best mobile game. I'm like, it didn't even come out this year. Why is it on the ballot? What are you fucking talking about? But yeah, and then, like, I think it was between that, and I think it was, like, Sonic Frontiers was fighting for, like, the community poll for the Game of the Year last year, the year prior, or something like that. I think Genshin ended up winning, but like so many people who I know don't even like care for anime play Genshin. I don't know. Again, it's like if you like it, you like it. But for me, when I have other games that I think are genuinely better, it's just too much time investment. It's not bad. It's just I don't know. Just wish it was more. It was more mobile gamey as opposed to like more mainstream game. It's caught in this weird limbo. It's trying to be a mobile game, but also wants to just be a full-fledged RPG at the same time, and wants like the worst and best of both worlds. I don't know. It's very strange to me.
But that's probably why it got more popular. But like you said, it's probably for the anime titties.
Yeah, well, I mean, here's the thing too. Genshin Impact has great character design. They're not even like overly sexualized either. They're not like something like Azure Lane or something like that. But they're just generally just nice designs. The art style's nice and stuff like that. So it's nice. Character designs are nice. Can't say much else. It has good boys and good girls. They're all very nice. We already did 3 questions,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
So here, interesting trivia. So for the past like 5 or 6 episodes, I'm typically playing games in the background while we're doing these episodes.
Yeah,
So
I heard your controller.
it's a new controller, so it's probably extra clacky. But so let's see. For the past couple episodes, I've been playing Pikmin, and let's see. I have sprouted 1,040 Pikmin, and I lost 773 of them.
Jeez.
God,
But-
that is not a good turnaround.
I told you, a fucking Pikmin 4, I lost like 5, and then I started playing this game, and I was like, losses are a part of life. You live or you die by the strong. And that is where we're at for the first run through. So I have beaten Pikmin and lost almost 3/4 of all the Pikmin I had.
For the greater good.
For the greater good for Olimar.
For me to get the hell off this planet.
Your lives won't be remembered, but they will definitely be counted.
Yeah, exactly. You are nothing but a tally in my book of history.
Yeah, forever etched in a spreadsheet.
Alrighty
Yeah,
then.
not-
I think now that we, now I think unless Edwin has another last minute addition, I am glad you brought up Genshin because I had more to bitch about that than I thought I did.
Yeah, no,
We'll bring up
that was
other ones later.
now you can do the
We'll have a
outro.
part 2 at some point.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Well, I guess we'll be wrapping it up. Be sure to follow us on Spotify, Twitter, and our new YouTube channel to be notified of new episodes. Give us a comment to show us how we are doing. And for all of you gamers out there, just remember to keep exploring, keep playing, keep listening. Until next time, this is the Mediocre Rumble Brothers podcast signing off. Thanks for listening.
Jump Ultimate All-Stars is the better one.
Do not
Go with the power of friendship.
do not.
Hey, this is Corey, and thanks for checking out Mediocre Rumble Brothers. If you liked the video, please drop a like, and if you didn't, that's fine too. If you'd like us to talk about any specific games, drop a comment below, or feel free to discuss your experience with the games that we've mentioned in the episode. You can also listen to our episodes prior to YouTube on our Spotify. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you again soon.